All right.
Oh, there. All right, there. It's all set up. All right, so hello.
Hey
Um,
there.
so how's your day been? First off,
It's been all right.
it's been
Yeah,
all right.
thanks for letting me push back. If I get work lined up, it's good for me to take it because I can go like a week or so without having it sometimes. So, yeah,
Yeah, of course.
thank you.
No, and thank you for allowing me to do this and like being patient and stuff like that. It,
Yeah, no problem at all.
sorry, I'm a little awkward. I'm a little awkward in general.
Oh, it's
Um,
all good. You're doing great.
um, so first off, the new record that's fresh off, right? Just it's been nearly 2 weeks since that. How have you felt about the general reception to it? There's been a lot of buzz around it. It's been very, very successful in general. I know you guys had to up the amount of pre-sales you had, eh?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was super touching. Yeah, we're super grateful that anyone is listening, and it's always really rewarding to hear that the music had a positive effect on people's lives. So,
Yes.
yeah, I was really grateful for that. Mhm.
It's it's quite the dense listen, eh? Like it's quite the big piece that you let out. It's
Yeah, maybe.
an hour-long song is definitely not something that's extremely common.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
How did that come to be? Because I know the original song was half that length from it was originally performed as Sprain at a couple performances, most notably the Moroccan Lounge one. And how did it kind of grow into such a big piece from there?
Um, I guess I don't know. I mean, I just kept wanting to do more with it, and it kept feeling like there was other areas I could explore. And I always thought that, the we were really still like chipping away with it, and it's uh like embryonic stages when Sprain played. So when Sprain still played it, like I really felt like, we had a few of the parts together, but I didn't think that they would really flow together super logically. So that was, kind of the start of building all the pieces in between, was trying to figure out how to get the main like rock and roll sections to flow together a little better.
That makes sense.
And and then I guess, with that it just went a little wild.
Yeah, it's quite sprawling. There's a lot of different sections to it. What I know even since the earlier performances of it, there's always been that samba section that's kind of always stood out. What 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 made that kind of stick out as something that even from the earliest visions of the song was the key portion of it? What what inspired that? Because it's
I don't know. I mean, uh well, I guess just that type of music, like where I got into like alternative percussion, like instead of just like always having the percussion be a drum set, like we got into like using like rhythmic samples or like um just or found objects, or I don't know, like other like percussion. So like I guess in Latin American music, or not I guess, but in Latin American music, they'll have like a really big like, 6 or 7 piece percussion band playing, and I don't know, that's really cool. Or same with like Ghanaian drum ensembles and whatnot. But also, I mean, there is like a cool part of like a Scott Walker record that definitely stuck out to me, with the it kind of just busts into that for a second. And so I thought we could take those ideas and kind of shake them up and do something a little different with them.
yeah, you're a big fan of Scott Walker. I've heard you. What's your favorite
Yeah.
record from him?
Well, yeah, he's my favorite. I guess my favorite, like, it's kind of like two eras, but 3 and 4 of the classics I like, and I like pretty much all the records, but I really like Bish Bosh was my favorite of um the crazy ones.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
hear a
that's
lot of the influence from it, certainly.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
that a track off of it was in the influences playlist that you put up on online, if I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
correctly. So it's not a surprise.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Really a big influence on us. He's really was really awesome.
His voice was incredible.
Yeah, yeah, certainly.
Um, so kind of sorry, it's just I have a notebook here, so
Oh
I'm
no,
just
no,
reading
no
to
worries at all.
speaking on the topic of influences. If I'm correct, Jamie Stewart is another large influence on you and your music, correct? There of some
Yeah,
portion. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
What well first off, what's kind of what records from Jamie Stewart kind of have inspired you the most or impacted you the most, first off, because I'm a huge fan of their work, and
Um,
I'm curious to see what kind of has led you along, because they have quite the sprawling discography.
right. Well, I like a lot of their records. Um, I think the most inspiring part about their music was like the courage to sing about or like have lyrical topics that are like, really like intense. So that's what
Yeah,
struck me about their music, as well as like the compositions still being like accessible and kind of like pop oriented, but they have all these really cool, crazy sounds in them.
yeah.
I thought that one like, sorry?
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's one of the best parts of them as
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I always really liked, I mean, I really like the first five, but I think the one I really like recently is, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's like La Fond or
well. Oh, La
it's like a
Forêt, yeah.
French. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from I'm in French Canada, like I'm in the Atlantic provinces,
Mm.
so I've been forced to speak French a lot.
Okay, how do you say it?
La Forêt. It's
La Forêt. Okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it was
yeah, that
uh,
record's always been a very underappreciated one I've found. Very very poignant in general. I like how kind of stripped back it is compared to even something like the even something like A Promise or something like Fabulous Muscles. It feels a little stripped back in comparison.
yeah, it's a cool change of pace. I don't know, I like a lot of their records and yeah, like it's kind of like a lot of these bands that kind of like paved the way and inspired me when I was younger. Like I don't listen to them like as much, but I definitely did when I was like like kind of my coming of age, like my blossoming as like a or younger musician, like when I was like 15 or 16,
Yeah, it
and
makes
get
sense.
into different types of stuff. And so of course I kept up with them. But yeah, 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 they're
Yeah,
great. I actually said I had a bit too much to drink on one of the nights after, and I sent Jamie the record, which I don't do. I never do that. I'm never like, hey, check out my music. It's because it's always feels kind of contrived, but I got a little too brazen and falsely confident and sent it over.
did you get a response?
Yeah, it's kind of like a candid response, like, "Oh, cool, I'll check it out," and then nothing
Yeah,
after that. Which is totally normal. I mean, I do that to people sometimes too. You just don't have all the time in the world to
yeah, of course.
check out people's music. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he probably like pulled it up and like saw it was an hour long, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't have time for that." Yeah,
Yeah.
but, but yeah, I mean, he was friends with my roommate, my good friend Mate. He's Mate's the tall man on the um, Lama's Effigy cover, one of them.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's played with Jamie a little bit, and like.
Oh, that's cool.
And Carla Bozulich. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I met Jamie one time like that because we didn't get tickets for a show, and he knew Mate, so they ran into each other, and he got us into the show. So yeah, he was always super nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned the cover to Lamb's Effigy, I figured I'd. There's been a lot of discussion around the cover to this new record as well. There's been a lot of. I know initially when it was announced, I was like very excited, obviously. So I posted it on my personal like Instagram, and a bunch of people who don't really know a lot about music were like, "Why are you posting this? Why are you posting this cover?" And so I guess I was just curious what that I know that's from a series of photos by um I don't even want to try and pronounce his name.
Yeah, the Dutch artist. Yeah.
Yeah. Um so what kind of made you decide on that picture of all of them, I suppose? Like what
I
drew you
just
to
found
it?
I just found it. It was one of those things, it just happened. I was just like, that's it. It
That's
just encapsulated, because I like I do try and like really like put a lot of effort into the cover art, because I don't know, I'd like the cover to like reflect the music and like do it justice too. So for this one, it seemed like, as soon as I saw that picture, I was like, yeah, that's
that's it.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It
I
was really not planned. It was just a really happy accident. So I cut it out and put it on a collage with these mysterious little things in the background, and
yeah. That's it's yeah, I've also noticed that your covers are very evocative of the music. Like with Lamb as well, the cover I read was meant to kind of reflect some of the themes, if I remember correctly, the poses
yeah,
used. Yeah,
yeah.
I always found that interesting, and I'm still trying to decipher what what the poses are meant to represent, but it's very interesting in general.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Mm. Sorry, once again, if I go silent, it's either I'm choosing what to say next, or my camera cut out for a second and I had to wait for it to go back.
Oh, you're totally fine. Don't worry about it at all. You're doing great.
Mm,
And it can be stressful.
I'm certainly stressed. Um, so I guess speaking on the horse itself, since that is the centerpiece of the record, since I talked about the cover, what inspired the horse iconography in general, and why specifically, if there even was a thought process behind it, the Appaloosa of all horses to kind of choose? Because I know Appaloosa is a specific breed of horse, correct? And so, was there a reason that you chose that one in particular? First off, I guess.
It's the Idaho State horse.
Oh, is it? That
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
explains a lot.
Oh, no, I mean, I don't know, like, I kind of grew up around a lot of farm animals and was naturally attracted, I don't know, to like the kind of like, I don't know, children's books or whatever that would like use like personification or like anthropomorphic animals, like I don't know. And they would always, but I always felt like the animals would be symbolic of something, and they could represent something without it needing to be without things needing to be so cut and dry. So yeah, I mean, when I choose them pretty carefully because like, but I'm kind of feeding into like the generally like traditional uh interpretations people have based off of like kind of nursery rhymes and stuff. Like, what could a horse represent?
That makes sense. Because I know I apologize for jumping between the two big records like Lamb and this one. It's just because there's I can draw a lot of parallels due to the usage of animals. I know that the
Uh,
lamb is representative of like in a lot of traditional literature like innocence and stuff like of that sort. And so the choice of that I assume was intentional. So I assume that the horse was similarly intentional. Yeah.
yeah,
Makes
yeah.
sense.
Well, I also just like them,
Yeah.
I mean, on a less like, I don't know, artsy, blah 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 kind of perspective. I just like them a lot.
Yeah.
I just like being around them. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I just think isn't there like a picture of you with a horse that was posted at one point, if I remember
Oh
correctly?
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. There's plenty of horses that
plenty.
I've
Yeah.
taken pictures with. Yeah.
So, so I guess I just this is just kind of a sort of sillier question. What's your favorite part of the record? There's so many different portions to it. What part of it are you most proud of, or most or felt the most like, yeah, I guess pride in?
Well, there's a lot of parts. I put a lot of effort into stitching them together and making sure each one of these like kind of sonic miniatures or whatever would like serve the greater uh the greater
Yeah,
the big, serve the whole song, I guess. um I don't want to say this because it sounds like I'm discounting my bandmates, but I think like have grown to really like the most gentle parts of it.
like the
And
acoustic portion and the acoustic portion near the midsection and even that more piano driven part near the end and stuff of that sort.
yeah, like I think, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they'd be my favorite without contrasting them with like the big kind of dissonant guitar led parts or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like the section after it has like these kind of glitchy drums, and the vocal melody goes like da 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 da
Yeah.
da. Yeah, like
That
that.
part's excellent.
Thank you. Well, that whole thing, like I usually when I record music at home, like I just kind of like have an idea and then I get somewhere, and it's that somewhere is a good place and I like it, but it's not always what I set out to do. But that was like the first time ever I've actually set out to do, like had an idea in my head and it like I actually pulled it off. So I don't know. I mean, like I think I just had a good experience with that, and I was like, because I don't know, whenever you're making, like, I think my favorite part of the whole process is like making the music, before it's released, or it just feels like really gratifying, and like I remember I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I love doing this stuff. Rachel sings and Mate is like freaking out on the saxophone. And Andrew plays a really cool. They came up with a really cool like cyclical drum groove, and Sylvie's going nuts, and Wes is playing this. I like that section because like everyone is like all my friends and people who may not be on in the band or whatever, but like everyone has a really cool part and is like building up this really pretty little section, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah.
that part stood out to me even from my first listen to the record because it's in comparison it's even more full than a lot of sections. There's so many different people you can tell that contributed to it. Yeah. I have to admit I've listened to the record a lot of times. Um like
Oh yeah.
I've been quite I've been enjoying it quite a bit, so that section continues to strike me just because of how collaborative it is, like you said.
Yeah, that's it's really nice, Like it also I remember like me and Andrew were just screwing around before everyone else got to the practice space for a rehearsal one time. And we just came up with it, and it just happened. And so I mean, I didn't really do that much. I just play one I just play one chord during that section, but we came up with the idea and Andrew came up with their drum part and I really like the drum part. I think it's really beautiful and it builds. It's really cool and cyclical. And then I don't know, it just all fell into place. Like it was so effortless. And like those moments are really, really rewarding, because sometimes you're just banging your head against the wall all the time. But of course there's the classic, like kind of we just call it the jet engine section, but it's the one where Sylvie and I and Elizabeth now all have the drumsticks on the guitars.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. That one's
Is
fun. Yeah.
is that the is that the one that that comes after the second samba section? Is that the part that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that part is insane. The vocal performance there is maybe the most visceral on the entire record, really.
Thank you.
It's I because when I initially listened, I listened at like right when it came out, so that was like 1 a.m. for me. So I was like with a bunch of friends, we were all listening to it, and
Um,
it's yeah, because I know a lot of people who enjoy the band, right? And and that part, a lot of the parts, especially your vocal performances, were very startling and very visceral at that time. That's so late at night. It
yeah.
hit. Um,
Sounds like fun.
yeah. Like, so since you spoke on like kind of your improvisational, like you in the practice and all that. Um, um, so I guess I have two questions here. Um, so I read some of the Ask Me Anything from a week ago. I didn't read all of it because there were a lot of questions, but you mentioned you have a lot of improvisation recorded, yeah? If I remember
Oh
correctly.
yeah.
Yeah, you guys. People have been curious if there's any plans in the future to in a I guess to for lack of a better connection in a Jamie Stewart-esque way, release some of this unused improvisation in the future in any way, shape, or form. I guess is
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Does anyone want does anyone want that? I don't know.
a shocking amount of people want that. I I had because I told a couple people I knew that I was doing this, and they were and everyone was like, "Is there any? Can we buy some of the improvisation?" I'm like, "What do you want me to ask him about that?" So I guess I was just doing it for whatever they wanted me to ask.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess I really didn't know how this release was gonna go even. I mean, we didn't do any PR or anything. Like, I guess it was just uh we were just gonna see what happened. I mean, it's the same reason why we were kind of like leaning towards doing CDs as opposed to vinyl, because we would have to press a double, and it's like if if we don't sell them out, I'm just gonna have like fucking stacks of horse butthole albums in my
Yeah,
room. And I just don't have the space, and it just gets more and more expensive to do all this stuff.
yeah,
Um, but it definitely exceeded my expectations. So I guess I just don't really like see all this is to say like I don't always like expect that like anyone would want to hear like that. I mean, of course it's a ton of stuff and like it's fun for us to listen to. And I guess if there were like some interested fans, then I would think about it. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, maybe I should. Who knows?
yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. I I'm surprised that you were surprised by the reception considering how big your previous record was. I'm surprised that you like it. Like you did you have minimal expectations for how people would kind of react to this one, even despite that?
Well, you know, the last record had a certain amount of like support that was outside of my, outside of like I that I didn't really have anything to do with. Like I mean people, always followed the Flenser, and I think early on like uh the music reviewer Anthony Fantano was like, talking about our singles and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, like even that one, I don't think we had very high expectations, but how it was gonna do. And then I also think, to be honest, like the band breaking up like a month after we released the album probably like made it even more uh romantic or popular. So I
Mm.
really didn't think, I mean, I knew that like some of the people were going to follow us into the next project and hopefully also follow the other members onto their new projects and whatnot. Um, but
So
I
is
really
this the
didn't
level that
know.
you weren't expecting? Like to
Well, I
this?
mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's still, I think it has, I might have to run down and grab a phone charger in like a second, but I'll finish my thought here. Um, uh, I think there's like an illusion that we have more popularity or support than we really do, just because I guess we're like what people call like an internet band. Like we have like a bunch of like super nerdy, like people who are like
Yeah.
kind of like occupy like music discourse spaces, like
Yeah.
that
Oh,
gets a lot of attention. I also
yeah. You
think
have.
because it's like we're always all of our releases tend to be like pretty controversial in those like crowds, and so I think like the fighting like blows it up.
Uh,
But I mean really it's like we'll play like Shearling shows, and maybe like 10, 15 people will be there. It's really not like, I mean, we don't really have like in real life
yeah.
following
It's more of
or
a. It's more of an international following just due to the internet.
yeah,
So,
yeah, and I'm not trying to sound like I don't appreciate that or
no, of
anything.
course.
Absolutely do, but I mean, um, like it's not we Mishap Records is a super small homespun label that my childhood friend Shad is doing, and I mean that it's like we don't get an advance from them. We never really got an advance from Flenser even. We never had a tour manager or a booking manager. We've never had, we've never been asked to go on any like tours with any more popular acts, or so I think there's this illusion, just because there's a lot of people that talk about it online in kind of a culty way, that we have more reach than we have. But I mean that's not bad, it's kind of good in a way. But yeah, needless to say, I mean I thought it did better than I was expecting. It seems to kind of like be the end of it now. Um, so just kind of onward and upward, move on to the next one.
Yeah, I'm seeing less. I'm seeing less. I'm seeing less people complaining about it. So that means stuff must be slowing down. Because I, the
Yeah, right.
there
If
was
it's getting less hate, then that means people have moved on.
there
Yeah.
seems yeah, because there seems to be the word pretentious gets thrown around a lot, and I don't really think that that's a fair word to be used for art often. Really.
Yeah, I mean, you know, whatever. I mean, people have a right to like have it feel however they want when they hear the music, like I don't want to tell them like you can't feel this way or you can't hate it or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
Uh yeah, yeah. So pretentious, I mean, I don't know, like maybe that's just their like kind of interpretation of it.
Yeah.
But I don't really think, I mean, like unless I came out and was like, this is the best album that's ever been released, and you're an idiot if you don't like it. Like I guess that would be pretentious, you know.
Yeah.
So let me put you on hold real quick,
Yeah, of course.
if
I
you
need
don't.
to go refill my water anyways.
Oh, right on. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me figure out how I'm gonna do this. All right.
Oh yeah, of
I'll
course.
be
Okay, I'll be right back as well.
okay. Also, just I was like, oh, maybe I'll turn the lights on. Just sitting here in the dark. Like,
Yeah.
super funny.
Um.
All right. So, yeah, I mean the reception, like I guess, you know, I mean I can't I'm super grateful for it. Maybe we'll press some more CDs. Um but there was like no real like major media outlets covering it or whatever. And like I don't know, like I have a hard time with PR sometimes because um I just sometimes the people who are you're working with, it's really expensive and they just end up like distributing this information that is either like like a gross oversimplification of what you're trying to get across, or it's like I did one recently where with this guy, he was super nice and I really don't want to complain, but this guy Kurt, and he was extremely kind. So um and he did it for free too, kind of as a favor to um our label guy Shadrach. But he like we had like an hour and a half of interview stuff that he could have talked about, and like the first thing on the interview or whatever is like, have you ever met Michael Girard? And it was kind of like, oh man, like
Yeah.
you're not doing me
I.
any favors.
Oh, I read that one. That
Yeah, yeah.
not doing the favors with the whole constantly comparing thing that people like to do.
Right, and I kind of like I emphasized to him a few times that we would really prefer if like we could just leave artists, like other artists, entirely out of it, because also like I don't know, whatever gets printed in the magazines tends to have like a greater like effect on people who don't really understand how like the industry works, which is fine. But yeah, I mean, like I'm like I don't know, like I think going forward, I'm just gonna like just write it ourselves, do it that way. Yeah.
Certainly makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I remember reading that one and being surprised that was the first thing that was mentioned there. It was especially since there's been so much conversation around like Swans and Jira's influence on your stuff. I was surprised that would be the first thing kind of mentioned. But it also
Yeah.
makes
I
sense,
mean,
I
I
guess, for the
definitely
same
think
reason.
it's certainly like overblown. I mean, I've never denied the influence, but
Yeah,
it's like one of like 30 to 40 artists we kind of pull from. I don't know.
nice.
That's kind of like just the way people do shit nowadays. It's like just kind of comparing or
It's
yeah.
yeah, it's it doesn't make for very fun discourse, certainly, when
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
constantly comparing.
I mean, whatever, if that's what people think, that's what they think. Like, I guess,
Yeah,
we just focus on making the music.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, um, I guess with your past records, there was like a level of like you were unsure in them when you released them, kind of like you were less confident in them. But with this one, from like your posts online and everything, you seemed very confident in this one.
Oh
Like
yeah.
even compared to Lamb's Effigy, which you said was you were proud of to an extent, you seemed like especially proud of this one. Do you think your outlook on this record will be different than your previous works, or do you think like the others gradually it'll kind of move away from you?
I mean, I'm pretty much like you know how it is. Like by the time you release a record, especially something like that, where it's like there's a lot of labor put into it, you know, and you just end up hearing it like over and over again. It's kind of like already you're kind of already over it, like way before it
Yeah.
releases. So I mean, I was kind of over it, but I do think that I mean that one seems like the one where we were finally like kind of realizing like a totally unique thing that was kind of like divorced from any like overshadowing influence or whatever. So that's what I firmly believe, and I also liked how like it made people mad and how they said it was unstructured and stuff cuz to me that just means that like we're kind of like more on to something this time, you know? Yeah, yeah. So I honestly think it will age pretty well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
a sound such as
But
this, yeah, it's hard. It's it's closer to cutting edge than anything. Definitely, like it sounds very unique. It definitely is a unique combination, especially with the songwriting. Well, the
yeah,
songwriting.
well, it's not like we wake up and we're like, okay, like time to make the most unique, life changing. Like that's not how it is, you know.
Yeah,
It's just like we're just kind of like pouring more stuff and like taking more risks. I think that was what made me happy about it is that there we took a lot of risks and there's a lot of things that I think, you know, can make you look stupid or like if people don't get it, you know, but we did it anyway, you know. So, and I think, yeah, I mean, for the people who liked it, it seems like it really meant a lot to them. So that's all I can ask for.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Um, so I'm just. I want to turn over to the since I've kind of touched on it multiple times, kind of the writing on the record. That's always been, even with your past records, that's always been kind of what struck me most, your style of writing. And I remember reading you were very influenced by stream of consciousness writing, yeah,
Oh yeah.
like literature.
Oh yeah.
Ballard was one that I remember reading, correct?
Yeah, yeah. He's really awesome. He's probably my favorite, I think. I don't know. I don't really pick favorites, but he's
Yeah.
definitely up. Yeah, yeah. Big inspiration.
Um, so on the record, there's a mention of another author, and I was curious if this was in an intentional mention or if it's something else. Ernest Hemingway. He is at multiple points. His name is spelled. Well, his last name is spelled out. Is there a particular reason why you chose to spell out his last name? Is it like an area, or is it in Idaho? Because I don't know much about the state, or is it a connection kind of to the actual author within the work? I guess that's the question.
Well, yeah, I like Hemingway. His writing's really good and really poignant. Um, but at least for that reference, like I kind of like, you know, I don't like to spell all this stuff out for people because I think it creates really special moments when they can connect the dots if people are putting that much effort into it,
Yeah.
deciphering it. But like Hemingway famously killed himself
Yes.
in Ketchum, Idaho. So that's, and I mean, it's kind of dealing with like some themes of suicide and like
Yes.
self parody, you know? So. I just thought that
It
was a
was a
good way
fitting
to.
reference.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy I was because when you mention people who like to decipher, that's I definitely enjoy doing that. I've been working on because what prompted me to initially seek out this interview was I've been in the process of kind of writing my own personal kind of interpretation of both Lamb and this record in my spare time because I enjoy to write, and so I figured that like I would also speak to the man himself, and so it's and I'm happy to hear that like that was indeed an intentional thing that was I did pick up on there um and the same thing as well, yeah. um
Yeah, you can hear it from the horse's mouth, so to say. Yeah, everything, all the writing is intentional. Like, I know that sometimes, like, people have told me, like, I don't know, it's like indecipherable, or it's just like nothing. Like, like, what is this guy yapping about or whatever? But uh, I mean, I really labor over the lyrics. Like, I really, really like try and like get every line exactly how I want it to, both phonetically and symbolically or poetically or whatever. I don't know. Um, yeah, I really like writing lyrics. I have a really fun time doing it. Um, but I'm definitely not like trying to just, uh, what's the word? Like, it's definitely not just like talking for talking's sake, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's another critique I've seen people say that I definitely would disagree with.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
so sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second there. I had something I was going with.
No problem.
um
That's cool you're writing. Yeah.
it's it's I I hope I'm able to catch as much as I can as I continue reading into the lyrics because I the one of the first things I did was I started looking into the poem that is that the Oxterm Butcher is taken from. I started looking into that poem and that book it was from, and from
Yeah.
there it just kind of grew from there. Um, hmm, where
Wow.
where do I go next? Sorry, sorry for these awkward moments and me looking through my book once again.
It's
Um,
totally fine. Don't worry about it. No, I think it's really cool you're writing and researching and stuff. Like, just keep doing it. Keep enjoying it and honing your craft. I always like to hear about people, uh, I don't know, like just for the sake of making something, like they feel inspired in doing that. Like, I think that's really special.
yeah, I while I look for the next thing I'm gonna say here, while I like I've I haven't been shy to admit even like on my own personal time that hearing your record back in 2023 really did inspire me to a level kind of to continue writing because it's your I guess that I don't know. It's just your writing struck me, and so that's I was very happy to kind of be able to speak about your work today in this manner because
Oh,
like it has been to an extent an influence on even me. And so yeah, I guess all that to say I'm very happy I'm getting to do this right now.
yeah, yeah. That's Thanks so much for saying that. I'm really like so glad that it has had a positive effect on someone. That really means a lot to me. Thank you for sharing.
Um oh, oh, so this kind of ties back to a question I asked earlier, and it's quite a short one. Um, so on motherfucker, there are shortening it like that sounds silly, but
Yeah, yeah. No, it's good.
um,
It's good.
um,
Yeah.
there was one line on the record that caught my attention because it calls back to Lamb as Effigy. It's the one about a needle, if you know what I'm talking about. It's I think like you can't force a needle, something of that sort. Is there are these albums in any way like interconnected, or was that just a passing reference? 'Cause I know there's also speaking of a lamb bloodied and a lot of imagery about lambs used once again. And is this an intentional connection between the two records, or just a, I guess, just kind of a coincidence or a similar thought process?
Yeah, I mean, at least tangentially or symbolically, like I'm not uh like they're not like I don't know, like comic books or,
Yeah,
it's not like
yeah,
universes or whatever, but
yeah.
I mean like yeah, well, I like to like cross-pollinate like between all sorts of projects and like I kind of like feel like all the projects I've done are just one big project and a lot of them have similar themes and kind of will go back and forth using similar imagery or like commenting on. So like a lot of the lamb stuff is kind of like on motherfucker is definitely referential to like I don't know the fact that that record came out and then the band ended and it was super hard. So but it was kind of like gave birth to Shearling. So that's why like the Appaloosa like signs his name in lamb's blood, and later on I talk about how the Appaloosa. Well, how is it? How do I say it? Uh, it's
I was
something. I can't. It's like in Slaw. His code influences my
yeah,
decision, and Slaw is
there.
my lamb. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are absolutely like cross-referential. I like to do it um in the physical media too. Not a lot. I mean, I don't know. No one's asked me about it, but there's like a bunch of like references to lyrics in the future and past in like differentiating physical like releases we've done. So I don't know, I like it's just fun to do stuff like that, and I think it'd be like really special for someone to find it. There's one I'm surprised no one's found, or as far as I know.
What's it? Sorry, what's it related to? What's like what are you
Sorry,
surprised people
I'm probably
haven't found this?
what is this guy talking about?
No, no, I
um
kind of I understand. I'm just I'm also a little tired since it's late for
no,
me.
no.
So
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
no, no, it's all good. I stay up way later than I should anyway.
Oh, hell yeah. No, I mean like there's like I reference lyrics and imagery in the cover art and the packaging of our physical medium
Oh,
and vice
yes.
versa. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, while I've been looking at Lamb, I noticed some similarities between some lyrics in there and the actual, because I own the vinyl right behind me over there. Yeah. So like I've noticed some I've noticed
Hmm,
some CDs on the way as well. I was right on
hmm.
that.
Thank you so much.
I was in class and I had my laptop right on me and I was just waiting for the because the you had posted it a day before on accident, I assume. So everyone knew when it was opening.
You know about that?
Yeah,
Uh,
we I didn't see
really?
it,
Was
but
it that bad? I thought it was only up there for like a second.
yeah,
Well, I
there's
was trying to do a scheduled post, and then Instagram told me that I can't
the
believe you know about that. Instagram told me I had to like double click in order to like do a scheduled post, but it only works if you have like a business Instagram profile. So what I did was accidentally just post it. I was like, oh shit, fuck. Like,
yeah,
so I tried
the
to take it down immediately, but I
the tr-
guess it,
the tracker guy, the guy who's behind that tracker, if you know what I'm talking about, that whole new
yeah,
music thing, that guy is on everything. I don't know what's like that guy got that
uh,
right instantly. I was like, what, how? It said like a second on the picture and I was like, how do you get that? But yeah, so I was right in class and I was just ready for that CD to drop because I saw it was
um,
a limited thing and I was like, I'm getting that immediately.
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it was totally unintentional. I felt so stupid, but it's pretty funny.
Don't
Yeah,
worry. People thought you did it intentionally. If that people thought it was an
yeah.
intentional hype builder. So
Definitely wasn't. No, I'm not playing like 3D chess or whatever. It was a total accident. Uh, yeah, I was like, dude, we've been working on this for 2 years, and you fucked up the release. Yeah, I was pretty
yeah,
embarrassed. Um, but yeah, the media like will cross-reference each other.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I hope people pick up on it, but it's pretty subtle, you know. You have to like be digging around and
yeah,
but I don't know, like, I just think it'd be, like, cool to, like, draw those kinda connections, but now that people know there's something to look for, maybe they will.
yeah. It's it's if there's one thing, well, at least I will. I'm definitely gonna be doing that because it's fun. It's
Well, you guys haven't even found some of them, that's the thing,
yeah. That's
and you
I
guys are crazy.
well I try not to be. I'm
No, I'm just teasing, you're very
yeah.
very nice, supportive, yeah.
Um um. So I guess sorry. I'm just once again. I keep apologizing. It's the Canadian in me. Um. um. So speaking on, well, I guess both writing and performance, a lot of people noticed a highly theatrical element to your writing and performing. Because I know you mentioned that God or whatever you call it was formatted in the form of some form of theater, if I recall. It was
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so I guess like what influences theater had on you in your artistic process and all that, because I know you've been in some theater to some degree. That's that one by Colin Yao, I believe. I remember seeing that one.
What? You
I
know about that?
yes,
How the
I
fuck do you know about that? That's
I,
crazy.
I
Oh, yeah, Colin, a friend of mine.
yeah,
Yeah, he's always dragging me into these things, you know, and, like, I feel like he has a good time doing it because he puts me in these ridiculous scenarios that I
yeah,
feel uncomfortable in, but he
I
pushes me to do. I can't believe you know about that. How did you even find that?
I
But yeah, Colin, I mean, his stuff's crazy. I'm not. I mean, no, I'm not. I'm really not doing. I don't do any theater or acting.
yeah.
Like, I don't even really know that much theater. Although I've seen some really good stuff before. Uh, Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good.
Good. Sorry for all that trouble there.
No, no, it's all good. It's my fault.
Sorry, I'm just collecting myself real quick, and I'll be back on it. What were
I take
we?
it.
I'm trying to think. What were we talking about last? Do you remember? I'm trying to. I think
No, I don't remember. Sorry.
I think I asked something about theater, and then from there. Sorry, I was checking things in the notebook so I'd remember this, but now I apologize for this. I'm just.
It's all good. Yeah, no problem.
I guess I'll just start with something new here. So so with I saw on the Ask Me Anything from like a week or so ago, there was a lot of talk around, like a lot of questions about the usage of Big Brown Cow stuff in like your solo acoustic stuff in Shearling. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first off, this is just kind of a question that I had, I guess, just a smaller one. There was one song that was performed I believe it was last March, that it's the only one that I don't remember there being either any other performances of past that point, or any sort of usage of it on the record. It was the opener for that show. It was purely piano driven. Do you remember that one? It was.
Hmm.
Is there any plans in the future to use that one in particular? Because I haven't seen much discussion around that one, and that one is definitely one a lot of people like, including myself, of course.
Is that the one I played that the Dead Mothers
Yes.
Collective did? Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah, of course. It was a Shearling song before I decided to perform it.
Oh, really?
It's Big Brown Cow. Yeah. We're just still working on it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So that I assume that that's part of the that's part of like the upcoming sister record. I would assume because that's been a lot of
Mhm.
discussion around that as well. The clan.
Yeah,
um. So is
the
the
clan.
sister record a separate like is it a separate venture or is it kind of connected to this record like some sort of double album type thing or is it more of a separate record in its entirety?
No, it's more like a double album.
Interesting.
Um, yeah. It's more like it because all the themes are connected, and um, the music is written around the same time. To be honest,
Yeah.
most of it. Um, I think ultimately we were gonna try and do something kind of ridiculous and have the song "Motherfucker" be just a song on the whole record. But it just became kind of clear after a while that it was too exhausting and that it would ruin the flow of a record that was on there. It's just too long. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be a lot at once, especially for one project. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I mean, it made sense to split them up too, because there are differences, and it's kind of like the end of an era, so to say.
The
Um, with this once the sister record releases, and then we'll kind of have like moved on to something else, which I'm not totally sure what it's gonna be, but I think like the way I see it is like I don't know, almost like putting away a certain um like this era of uh your life, that was difficult or invoked a lot of suffering, and all the music was based off of that suffering, maybe.
yeah,
So just kind of like putting that away with this next record.
that makes sense.
Mhm.
That makes a lot of sense because I know they've been very like personal records, very emotionally, very emotional ones.
Yeah, they're not going to stop being that,
Yeah,
but I just think in terms of like whatever this, like, I guess trilogy, maybe you could think of, or whatever, I don't know, like, or just this like era of like, I don't know, like from the time I was 19 to probably the time I'll be like 28, 29 when the next record releases. Um, just like 10 years was enough of that, I guess.
that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
10 years was enough of that kind of progression because there's a clear because there's a clear progression from the earliest stuff to even now. Like you can see a kind of progression of sound from there. So it would make sense after that much time of progressing the same idea to push forward at some point. Or similar ideas, I guess, not the same because there's obviously a lot of differences between all the work. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting. I apologize for not being as like I was not the best last night either. I was a little bit scattered, but I'm even more scattered right now, just purely off the basis of me just waking up recently. So
No, you did great. It's my fault. You have to do it again today, so I'm sorry.
it's all good. um, so in a previous interview, there was talks around it. There were like 3 hours, I believe, of music, if I remember correctly. There was so the sister record, I assume, is going to be the other 2 hours, or is that kind of a separate thing?
Yeah, it's about that long.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, we don't have like final recordings on most of the songs,
Yeah.
so um, but I would say estimating, yeah, it's about that long, maybe slightly shorter or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's gonna it'll sorry, but my throat's quite dry. So it will be, I assume, like your longest work to date then, like even longer than the Lamb, because Lamb was, I think, 90 minutes if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
maybe slightly below that. So that's quite like the big thing.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully people can get through it.
Yeah. Is so there's a, if I'm correct, you're trying to form a tour of sorts in Europe, right? That's what you're kind of working on right now.
Oh yeah, most of that is booked. I mean, it should have been booked a long time ago, but there was like some complications, kind of like misunderstandings. So now we're kind of like scrambling to fill in some dates, but most of it's booked.
That's good.
Uh-huh, yeah, yeah.
Is is the tour just going to be Performance in a Motherfucker, or are there plans to perform some of the newer kind of unrefined songs on that tour as well? Because I know
Yeah,
recently you performed one of them that was performed originally at the first Shearling show, if I remember correctly. Most
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna play new stuff too.
it's very interesting. um, the release show's coming up with Lowercase in like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Like two, almost 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like a little less. But how'd you manage to? Because I know Lowercase are pretty liked band in the underground, aren't they? They're what? How did you guys like come across that? I guess get that whole thing planned out.
Well, because I know Brian, the drummer, Brian Gurgis, and I've known him for a few years, and I don't know, we just became friends, and he um, was always kind of like teasing the idea of trying to get Lowercase back together, but for a few years it would almost happen, and then it wouldn't really happen, and then I guess I don't know, all the pieces fell into place this year, and it just so happened that you know we are going to be releasing a record, so we kind of actually I think it was his idea originally. He was like, "Let's do a show around this time," and I was saying, "You're thinking, oh well, actually, to be honest, we can have a record out if you want to do make it like a release show." And yeah, just kind of worked out. I mean, I think they've played like one or two other shows
Yeah,
um,
earlier this year.
since reuniting. Yeah, but this will be undoubtedly the best.
Is I know that the last release show was quite long. It was, I think, like over 2 hours, wasn't it? It was quite like just your portion of it. I don't know if there were openers to it, but just your portion of the last release show is quite long. Do you plan for this one to be as long of a thing, or more of a kind of a focus just on this record and then kind of move on from there?
Well, it's funny you should mention that because while we were booking, I had to talk to one of the promoters and like essentially promise them that I wouldn't go over a certain amount of time. So, yeah, they were like, "I've heard about you," or something, and so yeah, I just promised her we wouldn't play more than like probably like an hour and 15 minutes. So it's gonna be a bit more condensed, but I think that will be plenty.
Yeah,
Of music.
plenty.
Yeah.
Makes sense. The Yeah, I know there's already people scrambling to try and capture this release show like the last one I've been seeing. Like I heard rumor of Dead Mothers Collective, the one of the recorders from there. I don't know the entire thing even showing up, so that's definitely going to be a people are going to be very excited to see that.
Yeah, they are coming.
Yeah.
I know Niall and Foster. So yeah, those guys are really cool. Um, yeah, they're coming to do the to record it.
Because I heard, like, I read on the thing that there was plans for a possible live recording of this as well, because the live version is so different, isn't it? Like the live version has a lot of similar parts, but they're strewn together slightly differently, especially that final portion with the sample and all that. Which, by the way, I that's probably my favorite part of the song in general. That sample that comes in near the end, that always struck me.
Oh, the only part I didn't write.
Yeah. No, not like that.
No,
It's very
I'm just
striking.
kidding. I'm just
The
kidding.
way the noise kind of comes into the sample and everything
Yeah.
like that. It always struck me because it's so different from everything else even before it. It's transitioned into very interestingly.
Yeah, when we were working on that, I don't know. I just heard because I like Percy Faith a lot. I like his like easy listening, like early pop
Yeah.
classical music. It's really beautiful and schmaltzy. You know, it's really like cinematic. Uh, and I always kind of imagined it to be recontextualized, like in the middle of something we did. So I don't know. We just tried it in rehearsal one time, and we all cracked up. It was just so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just so different. But yeah, I don't know how to clear that because I think it's owned by like some kind of subsidiary of Warner Brothers or something. So it would be very challenging to use, but maybe I'll just do it anyway. And if they want to come after me, they can.
Yeah. That's the mindset, I suppose. just
Yeah.
just hope
But
it
yeah, I
works.
mean, I think before we end up like recording the live record, we'll want to change a few things around and kind of refine it still because truly we have only, I mean, Shearling has only played 4 shows or 5 shows. So I mean, really, like I think I'd like to get like maybe like 6 or 7 more months of live performances out of the way before we truly do record what would be the live record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And if I remember correctly from what I read, the sister record's slated for a 2026 kind of thing. If I remember correctly, like kind of a later thing or a late 25 26 type thing.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, one thing about this is like because there's no like press or like
Yeah,
things are kind of mysterious with this band is I always feel like you guys will hear one thing and then
yeah,
it gets passed around and by the time it comes back to me it's like a totally
yeah. It's like
totally different piece of information. No, there's no set date
yeah,
um,
that
for
makes
the
sense.
sister record. It'll just come out when it comes out. But one thing that's great about working with Shadrach and Mishap is that there's no fucking like sometimes with labels when you finish a record and you master it, it'll come out in 7 or 8 months,
Yeah,
you know, and that sucks. Like it's that delay is fucking ridiculous, you know. I mean, I guess they do it because vinyl's backed up or whatever, but um with Shad, as soon as we had the masters, we were like a month later, it was out.
yeah,
Um, so I mean, it was kind of up to us really in how much we do. But I do think that maybe we'll do something in the States and we'll do this European tour. But after that, I think we'll just buckle down and really focus on finishing up.
that makes
This-
sense. There's a so that I mean there is a plan. There is a plan for a states kind of tour of sorts as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like honestly, unfortunately, I mean, I think we're the kind of band where we would tour all the time if we could, if it was lucrative enough, but I mean it's just really hard like even just renting a van for like a few weeks can be 3-4 grand like for people like in our tax bracket. It's a lot of money.
Yeah,
um And then it's like a lot of money to try and get back and then split between five people, you know, and by the time you pay for all the gas and you pay for this and everything. I don't know. It's like it's different if you're like going and you're filling out like 150 capacity clubs every night, but really like with this band, it's more like we really do have you know we do it essentially for the experience
Yeah.
and to play. We don't make any money. And because of that, we can't tour as often as we would all like. So it's kind of like maybe we can do it once or twice a year if we're lucky.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Even that's like commendable, really, because like you just said, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, and it's not very fruitful. So even doing that's very like I guess you could say
Yeah,
it's
and
very
I hate
generous.
to I hate to use that as an excuse, but I mean it really is like I won't be able to pay the bills unless, you
Yeah,
know, we're working.
yeah, exactly.
So,
It's it's a shame, really, like to an extent how art is affected by that. But
yeah. Well, and also I mean these rec, you know, one thing I think people don't understand is like we talked a little bit about this yesterday is there's no secret behind the scenes um investor or like, you know, there's no one giving us any money even when we were on the funzer. I think I got one advance for the like the tour the 3 or 4 years I was on there, and the advance was for like 2 grand, which is nothing, you know, and it wasn't even like a front to record. It was like it was just basically like a couple grand. He they loaned me, you know, in order to finish up the final mixing process because I had already spent close to like 15, 16 grand on Lama's Effigy, which is just insane, you know, for what I've made back on it. Of course, I don't, you know, I don't really care. Like, it's not about how much you spend on it or whatever. It's just, you just do it because you love to do it. But, you know, there's no, what I'm trying to say is that there's no, everything we're doing is 100% self-funded, you know.
yeah,
We don't have any help, so it's just I haven't really figured out a good way to like make money with the music, not even in a way where um like I make a living or whatever, because I kind of don't really think that's ever going to happen, but in a way where it's like maybe if we can use some of the money that we get back to fund the next record. But I don't know, I haven't come up with a clever way to do that.
that makes sense. A lot of the ways that you can usually just end up you're spending a lot even to make a little bit from it, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like things like
Like, all right guys, we're $10,000 in the hole, and that's cheap. You know, that's
yeah,
a shoestring budget for what we're trying to do essentially.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll make that back. Yeah.
And I guess that goes back to what you were saying yesterday, where there's like a view where you guys are bigger than you are, like people, you know what I mean? Like there, people think you're bigger than you are, so there's a level of surprise when you can't do everything purely because you don't have that size. You aren't making the money for that to be feasible.
Yeah, I mean, or like I don't know, like I think professionality in music is kind of like an illusion, you know. Um, so I don't really feel like we're any less professional. We just have less like the advantages we have are not. We don't have as many advantages as you know. But I think it's more about like these kinds of things will come in time, you know, and slowly we things will get a little bit easier because we will have done it for so long and stuck around for so long. Um, so I mean, I'm not trying to complain or anything. I'm just telling you the truth.
No,
Yeah.
of course, it doesn't come off as a complaint at all. I've I've seen it a lot in terms of art that the stuff like this is a part of it. An unfortunate part of it you have to consider is like the money behind it and stuff like that. At the end of the day, that's how society is currently.
Well, our you know our perspective is also like, or at least mine has always been, all right. Like I don't know where I'm gonna get this money or what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna pay the mixer now or book the session now, you know, and I'll figure it out later. Like I always just kind of uh put this part of my life first, you know, before everything else, and kind of flail until I figure out what to do next and make it back. Which isn't smart, but
Yeah,
that's what we do.
this is the strategy here. um, kind of this kind of relates. I was gonna ask this yesterday, but I forgot to. Like when we were talking about the portion of the record with Rachel on the backing vocals and that portion of the record. Yeah. Is there any plans in the future for kind of more collaboration between you and Rachel in music? Because I know she released a song recently that got some like light attention, and she did some stuff on the record, and it definitely like works. Is there any plans for more involvement with her kind of in the future?
Oh yeah, I mean she's a naturally gifted singer and she can sing anything I ask her to. So I definitely plan on doing more of that. And we've recorded a couple of her songs at my home studio. And that those ended up being really good, and I hope they come out soon. But I think she still wants to get them like more professionally mixed. I'm good at tracking, but I really suck at like mixing. That's like not my forte. So um, that should definitely get like someone who's like better at that to do that for her. But I do think, you know, like I think it's important to establish like boundaries for the health of our relationship, and as far as we collaborate, you know. So I think it's more like if it's her music, she's steering the ship, and I'm kind of just doing whatever she tells me to.
Yeah.
And if it's mine, it's vice versa. So that way, you know, uh, we're not getting too much like ego collision there. You know, that's kind of the agreement we came upon. Because I don't know, like sometimes when you're really close with people and you try and make art projects with them, and you're both very particular, it can be somewhat disastrous.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's art is a very personal thing in general, so people have a lot of personal feelings towards
Yeah.
it. So it always it can definitely get heated.
Well, I mean, it's not. We don't get heated. We
Yeah.
just don't want to. You know, I don't want to like. I don't think that you want to put that kind of stress on your relationship. You know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, everyone should. I don't know who will listen. If who's going to listen to this, but if you are, you should listen to Rachel's music. It's quite good.
I've listened to the track a few times. Well, a good amount of times. It's quite the beautiful song.
Oxygen.
Yeah. I I I'm 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 very fast on, like, even when Elizabeth Carver dropped earlier this year, I was on that pretty quick as well. I like to stay up to date with, like, even the bands that aren't you guys. Like, I've been planning to listen to August's record. I haven't gotten a chance to yet. Like, I'm trying to keep up even with the bands that are kind of tangentially related, just to because I think that of the local scene that you're a part of is a very good scene from all the bands I've seen, from all the performances I've watched and stuff like that. So kind of staying up to date with the local scene, both here, both there, and anywhere else where I care about art, I think is important. Important to go beyond just like the biggest artists, I guess.
Yeah, they both made really cool records.
Your home studio, there's there's a lot of work done there, eh? Like I know Elizabeth did work there, Rachel did work there. Is it kind of is it becoming more utilized than you thought it would? I guess by
No, no, we got shut down.
you got shut down.
Yeah, it got shut down. I mean, I had a like I did saxophone there one time with Mate, and I think that kind of triggered the downfall of that living situation, because trying to find a different living situation now.
Yeah.
Um, I had a landlord give me the option to like put a notice in, or she said she was going to give me an eviction notice, which can end up on your record and make it like really hard to apply or qualify for houses and
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like, I didn't really know what to do. Um, but I don't think it was because of the noise complaint. I'm not exactly sure why. But yeah, I mean, after that happened, I kind of was like not comfortable enough recording like louder stuff there.
Yeah.
And so I had turned down a few sessions. But honestly, I mean, home studio is a pretty generous term. It's like a room, a treated room with a few decent microphones and like some analog preamps that I bought.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure if that qualifies as home studio, but I mean, we did cut some of the records there, so I'm proud of those ones that came out.
Yeah. It's good. It's good to have anyway. Like it was good to be able to do some stuff on your own in your own space.
Yeah, I mean, I'll continue to record all sorts of stuff there and have it just I've just been like way more conscientious. Like, okay, I'm not like no more drums, probably no more horns, things like that. No more yelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I still recorded there, quiet stuff or electronic stuff, whatever.
Yeah. That makes sense. Is there plans to do more stuff with electronics going forward? I assume with them kind of the gradually it's been introduced more throughout the last two records. There's been more focus on noise and electronic and even drone at points. Is there plans to kind of continue in that direction?
Yeah, totally. I'd say the sister record has the most like straight up electronica inspired moments thus far. It's not too far, but it's yeah, I definitely got more into that music and I'm always trying to explore. um and I would say that this one takes this like whole like self-sampling thing like even farther than Motherfucker did. So if you didn't like that, then you're gonna hate this one.
Yeah. So the plan going forward so far seems to be like a lot of that self-sampling, a lot of that kind of based around yeah, sampling yourself, I guess, and growing from there. That seems to be kind of the direction that you guys are leaning in right now.
Yeah, well, I'm always looking for the next thing that excites me because I get a bit bored and burnt out on doing, the same thing or the same similar type of thing. And like I really had never felt comfortable like settling into, quote, the what is a normal Sprain song or a normal Shearling song or what qualifies. What sonic attributes qualify and constitute those as like Shearling songs or whatever. So I don't know. Like I'm not really interested in what the heck? It's dogs. Um I'm not really into, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't really feel like super tied down to doing any one thing. And I kind of like want to do it all and explore a bunch. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a very long-winded answer for yes, there will
No,
be more.
no. It's a long answers are always good to have anyway. It's nice to hear more insight in general. Um, so sorry. I'm sorry for apologizing so much. I just apologize for apologizing, but um, I sometimes I get lost in my book trying to figure out where to go next.
No, no, you're totally fine. Don't worry about it.
So I guess this is a longer question, I would say. Um, so just like You grew up in Idaho, yes? That's where the record kind of comes from. Your
Mhm.
yeah, your
Yeah.
upbringing. What at this point in your career, kind of, I guess, without without going too far, of course, what like inspired you to write an album such as this about your upbringing and about kind of that at this point in your career? Like, what kind of inspired that level of even further personal exploration, I guess? Because I know in that in that release that happened around the album, there's a lot of talk about how personal the record was, even in comparison to your previous work. So, kind of, what inspired you to go in that hyper personal direction at this point, even
Well,
more so?
I don't know. I mean, I guess my own life, or just trying to stay in my lane, not like, I've never been like good at uh I don't know, summarizing or like I've never been comfortable exploring stuff that I'm not like super familiar with, at least lyrically, so I really like stick to, I guess, what I know and my own experiences.
Yeah,
And it just, I don't know. I mean, it just happened. I think an advantage I have is being like someone who makes like weird music, I
yeah,
guess. Is that like no one talks about Idaho?
yeah.
So I have that as like this advantage in a way because I don't know, no one's doing it really.
Yeah, that makes sense. I apologize for looking confused for a second. It froze for like half a second just on my end, so I apologize for if I looked a little confused.
I don't know, it's good.
Uh, so the experience is kind of the record is like based on personal experiences, isn't like a general story, because I know some people were interpreting it in more of a general way rather than a personal way. This is definitely more of a, even in its most abstract moments, kind of a personal representation, I would assume.
Well, I would say, whatever, however people want to interpret it
Okay.
is the right way,
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's the beauty in art as well, that interpretations can vary so widely
Right.
from the original idea.
And I mean, of course, there's like yeah, there's I mean, events from my life that are certainly fueling a lot of what's happening, and I don't know other things I know about it. But yeah, I prefer that. Of course, there's always a meaning to everything to me, but I do prefer that people are able to, um, garner their own interpretations if they so desire. Uh, I feel like there's a lot of spoon feeding in music nowadays. It's like, here's what the song's about. Here's what each line means, and I don't know, like that. It's fine, it's a philosophy, but not one I.
Follow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's that makes a lot of sense actually. Um, Keeping kind of a level of personal interpretation to it is always nice.
Hmm.
Mm. So there's been a I've noticed throughout the last two records there's been an increase in like very religious kind of undertones to the writing. And is that correct? Is there a is there a reason why kind of religious ideas and religious undertones are a key part of the work now, or I guess recently? Like, is there something that inspired that direction of in writing and in concept?
Well, I mean, I think it's all, I mean, it's something like I said before, like I'm well studied on the matter because I went, my family is Catholic and I attended Catholic school for 9 years, and so I really know the source material, so to say. So I feel comfortable like using it in an allegorical sense and whatever. Um, I'm not a Christian,
Yeah.
but uh I mean, it's just like everything. It's more source material to draw from. Um, so I mean, there's great characters, and I feel like, the way they're viewed in popular culture can create allegory and simile that are useful for me when I'm writing. And I don't know, I guess it intrigues me enough to show up there, but I guess it wasn't super conscientious.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I was writing. Well, you guys know about the hybrid sheep organizer stuff, but I felt like that writing was more abstract and like closer to what I'm doing now than when I did the Sprain EP and to a certain extent as Lost Through Collision, because I had recently come down from like a really life-changing, traumatizing experience. And I was dealing with the fallout of that, and I just had a certain amount of like, I don't know, confidence shaken, and I became very embarrassed about the stuff I had done previously. And so I was almost like, I think this is part of the reason why I don't really like those records that much, is because I was really not like being myself, and I was kind of like neutering what I like to do, and what I felt like was making my music unique, down to like a pretty intensely compromised vision.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
There's certainly like you can kind of see. Oh, sorry, there's a car that just drove by. um, there's a you can definitely see kind of some of the more dronier elements that were being kind of focused on some of that earlier hybrid sheep organizer stuff, kind of rearing back as time has come on. Um, and speaking of that, since we've spoken just because it's been mentioned, there's one song that you've started performing again from that era, if I remember correctly. It's "Birds Stretched Through Mother Tongue" or something like that. I don't remember the exact name, but the I sorry, I um is is that what kind of made you return to that song in particular, that kind of section over from all that work that you did so early? Because I know you said that you've been writing that one for a while. That one's been kind of in the work. I remember you said that one show for a long time. So what kind of made you choose and come back to that one?
Well, um, there was a separate life-changing experience that happened when I was younger, and I think was the primary impetus of writing that song.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I buried my head in the sand about that event, and it was, mentally very challenging, and I just had not accepted certain things about myself until about 10 years later, and I thought about the song again, and I was about 26. So I wrote it maybe when I was 15 or 16, and I was 26 when I played it again. And then I put more of the pieces together and started to accept that thing that happened. And I think, I don't know, it's like it seemed appropriate to revisit it and repurpose it and recontextualize it um, in my music now, because I don't know, I guess it just signifies like a certain amount of like maturity and like distance from this terrible thing that happened. And I can look back on it and look at the lyrics and look at the way I performed it then, and know that it's just kind of like like super raw feeling. Um, and now I perform it with this. I feel like the same kind of rawness, but like a my intention is that it carries an air of acceptance, and like even if it's sad or messed up. And yeah, I don't know. I hope that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
Uh,
Sorry, I'm just checking something real quick. I apologize. Okay, yeah, that's all. Okay. So yeah, sorry. I'm just processing the answer and just thinking real quick. I apologize. If I tallied the amount of times I apologize, it would be insane. I think at this point. um. So. This is taking longer than I expected for me. I apologize. Yeah, I guess with that, all I really have left to say is like, sorry, I'm just trying to word it. These experiences have been a big like backing force of kind of this record, I assume, and this sister record, and kind of this whole process around it, I would assume.
yeah.
Yeah. And I guess the amount of strength it takes to write something of that level of intimacy, I guess, for lack of a better word, that level of like personal experience is a lot, and it's very both impressive and commendable to be presenting those experiences in such a way.
Thanks.
And I just want to thank you once again for like doing this and allowing this to happen, and for your patience for doing this again this morning. I know it's early for you.
No problem. Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
And yeah, just I'm excited to see where this goes next. Like all this, like your art in general, all the plans in the future. I thank you very much for kind of all your art has done for me, for many other people. It's just thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Jen. Thanks for all the kind words. It's very nice of you, and I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. May I transcribe like kind of this interview into like a text format and stuff like that, kind of for some of the keyer moments, or would you rather I keep this personal and kind of more to my own devices?
No, yeah, you can share it. If you're gonna transcribe it and put it into text,
Yeah.
if you can, just send it over to me.
Yes, of course.
I'm kind of starting to get into the habit of that before you release it, just so that way I can like clear up if there's a miscommunication or whatever, just so that there's no, uh, I don't know, I'm trying to just keep things a little bit.
No, because I know there was a mistake even in some recent ones, like with the obviously the Swans one we talked about earlier, and the even the even the thing from that one from January where it was miscommunicated that there was a 3-hour version of Motherfucker rather than 3 hours of studio performance.
Yeah, I know. I was like, man, I didn't say. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense. I'll be sure to do that.
Okay, sounds good.
The
To be fair, I do think he did send me the January one. I do think he did send me the questions and asked me to proofread them, but I was busy or something and didn't get back to him fast enough, I guess.
That makes sense.
So I don't know. I mean, he was super sweet and nice. Yeah.
That makes sense. And as for the like, because obviously the transcriber had to like record it. Would you prefer this recording kind of stayed kind of stayed with me and I transcribed it, or would you want the recording to be released as well, like the raw kind of discussion around it? That's kind of up to your decision. I'm good either way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever you want to do with it.
Okay, that makes sense. And once again, just thank you for being number one patient with me, because I'm with all my I have awkwardness and all of my kind of flipping through my little notebook here. So just thank you for that.
No problem at all.
And
All right. Well, nice to meet you.
nice to meet you as well, and have a great rest of your day, and a great tour coming up, and great musical ventures.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Bye.
See you soon.